Welcome back to plants. It's been a while since I've made a video because I've been on and out of town, but this is how they've grown so far. Last time this was all the way down there, and then it's all the way up there. This I still need to cut off. This fella's just hanging in there. This guy I think is growing taller. And over here, this guy had some mushrooms in it, so we repotted it last time, or maybe I did that off camera. And there's this leaf which is about to fall off, one leaf remaining. Over that time, the yarrow has made a full recovery with plenty of new leaves to replace the dead and dying ones here. The poinsettias have finally become completely green. If you had a Walmart poinsettia, it probably would have become green by the end of December, but these were amazing for that. And this one was the yellow variety. That one has just dropped its last yellow leaf. So these guys are going to stay green, and a lot of times people will throw them out when they stay green. Supposedly what you can do with these is put them in a dark space with a bag over them, and that will supposedly reactivate their color, because these guys are from a lot more in the south. But yeah, and then back here, oh, that's not good, I forgot about that. That mushroom grew up. Oh wait, that mushroom released its spores. Anyways, mushrooms growing in plants like that is bad. And if you see the gills point downwards, that means it's released its spores, or is going to release its spores. But when the gills are inwards, then that means it's in the earlier stages of its life. Just haven't gotten to repotting this guy. Most of the time there's fungi in the soil. That just means the soil has spores, and you just want to replace the soil with some new soil. Of course, keep the old soil because it will be usable eventually. Maybe if you got some, I don't know, disinfectant or something like that. I don't know much about it, but this guy had a mushroom, replace the soil, and it's doing better. Over here we have our philodendron here, Syngonium, and this guy is doing good. Only lost one leaf, which just doesn't want to let go. Then back there I put the Christmas cactus back there because this guy was too hard to water through the cacti and the Syngonium. But I will eventually water that little fella back there. Now over here we have our Christmas cactus. As its nice little roots here sticking out. That's a new growth. There was a new growth there. Don't know what happened to it. This fella, still massive. This was a newer growth actually. And this one I think was a little bit older. But the main stalk is coming together very nicely. All the way up here. So it's the tallest plant I have right now. Over here we have our oh geez, what was it? It was like blue. It slipped my mind. But yeah, it's doing good. Baltic blue. something or other. Even though it does have some yellow leaves here, which means that the leaves are going to be dying out because the chlorophyll has died out in it. Then over here we have another mushroom growing. Well, you got roots sticking out there, so I need to... Yeah, that's another mushroom. And these guys, I don't know what they are. They're probably just a weed. They're growing there. They're growing in here. So we don't want those. But this was like lime something. It's been a while. But this guy has grown to be very big. In fact, that is included, and it's grown up the moss pole right beside the golden pothos. In fact, this is how tall it is, going all the way back. And speaking of the golden pothos, it's right here. That's the largest leaf. Still hasn't died. And, ooh, don't want to touch the cactus. But it seems that a lot of the leaves on this golden pothos have been dying. Now, most of the time they like to have little light, but I can't really help that because I have nowhere else to put them. So this fella has expanded out up the moss pole, but hasn't really attached its roots to it, and then has gone all across to here, which is quite impressive. But all across here is constantly lost leaves. Speaking of a lost leaf, that's another one. And they usually are very small like this. It just doesn't want to grow them. So one, it's either taking up too much energy because there's everything else there, or two, maybe it's a light situation. But either way, I'm going to cut this. It needs to be cut. It's way too long here. And there are some nice root nodes there, so I can make a cutting of it. Just haven't gotten to it yet. And speaking of which, the golden pothos also goes from down there and tries to invade our grape cut fern, which this thing literally grew up from the ashes. That thing was scorched in the drought this past summer, and then I just see something sticking up. And there it is. So that's this side of the room. Over here, on this side, Rex is still blooming, and I finally have been able to find male and female flowers at the same time. Now, I believe that is, yeah, this is a female flower. These ones are the males. I know that because, you know, these ones carry pollen. So I tried to pollinate some of them, like cross-pollinating with itself. Of course, the flowers don't last long. Over here we have our bamboo finally recovering. This time I'm not going to cut off the top, even though that's what it advised me to do on Google or other sources as well. But this fella just needs more leaves so it can actually start growing. Because this is, for bamboo, this thing has been very slow. Over here, we got our, what was it? Pothos, or that's probably just another, yeah, another type of pothos. I forgot already. These guys are dangling down. They're not growing as fast as the golden pothos over there because these guys started out with less. They were just the cutting. And it's pretty interesting because this part right here was cut off and cutting was on the other end. So they grew out from this node right here and continued back. So that's kind of cool to see. Up here, we got this fella. This fella was also back there with that other smaller plant. And this guy lost like maybe 3 or 4 leaves. But it's been growing new ones. And actually has some roots sticking out the bottom. So I need to repot it. And then over here we got our beautiful aloe. That one's growing some longer strands. This guy, you know, just staying the same. Maybe growing a few inches taller. They'll do that. And eventually I'll have a monstrous one, which reaches to be very tall. And over here, we have our Philodendron mayomi, or mayo as I call it. And it has produced another leaf. It was this one right here. I gotta make sure to very gently take it off. This guy's getting a little crowded, and I need to repot the roots. Maybe a bigger pot. But that's a cool one. And up here, this fellow was a bulb cutting, and you can see the bulb right there because it is worn out from watering. This guy is really expanded out. So in other words, I just need a greenhouse. I just need my own little space for these guys because they're growing to be way too big. Then we have our Kalanchoe down here, and I believe it hasn't received enough moisture because it likes moisture. So that's why it is drying up on the leaves. We got our Christmas cactus down here. I think it's very slightly growing. There's another node right there. Over here we got these fellows. Got this as a little gift from a teacher, or I just asked for it more so. And some of these guys are growing up faster. This guy, still no idea, probably actually no, but hasn't grown much. This guy's a jade plant. You see it's stopped or thrown out its flowers, or other leaves I mean, and now it's just this one little sprout. And because it's a succulent, it's going to take forever to grow. And we got over here, this fellow has grown taller and taller each year, and I've really noticed it this time. Well, that's all for this plant video. For updating. So see you all next time.